This is why you need auxiliary lights for your motorcycle. How's it going, Lone Riders? It's Andrew here. We're making a video today about auxiliary lights and why you need them for your bike. Look, we're making lights and we're about to launch next week, but I don't want to talk about my lights. I want to use them as an example. I want to explain why you need lights and when you want to purchase lights, what to look for, what qualities to look for, and also what features to look for. So let's just jump into it and have a look. So first here, this is a OEM light this is the BMW R1300. That's actually quite good compared to their 1200 and 1250, but this is the OEM, original equipment manufacturer. So basically straight off the factory floor from BMW or Yamaha or whatever. This is what OEM means. So essentially, this is what you get on low beam or drive beam, the normal beam. So if you crank that up and put auxiliary lights on, that's what you get. You know, that's a huge difference. This is essentially why you want auxiliary lights. Would you rather drive like that or would you rather drive like that? I'm telling you that I'd like to have that extra power to see when hazards are coming or other people. So that's one of the two reasons why you want auxiliary lights. The second reason is to be seen. So you want to be seen by other traffic. You know it. They'll be looking directly at you. They'll see you coming, but they'll pull out anyway. So with auxiliary lights, they basically boost your presence. They make you thicker and they make you more aware. So that's very important in the design as well. I think it's as important as to see. It depends on the type of riding that you want to do. Day running lights are very, very important to be seen, and you see it in a lot of modern cars now. It comes as a standard. Another reason is braking. So if you have auxiliary lights, you can see the obstacle far more in advance, far easier and quicker than if you didn't have that extra light power. So essentially, if you look here, there's the top, the BMW M4, right down to the GS Rally with off-road tires, and that's their braking speed at 100 kilometers per hour. If you see right at the end at 100 kilometers an hour, he basically is 50 kilometers to stop on off-road tires, so knobblies. So when you've got street tires, you've got about 4 or 5 meters less, and 5 meters is a lot. And that's not counting for something coming towards you as well. So if it's an oncoming car or something like that, or any other obstacle. That basically means that your lights need to be at least 50 meters, brightening up 50 meters in front of you, then to see what's coming at you at 100 kilometers an hour. And for example, for the 1200 GS, I know that it's about 50 kilometers an hour. So basically, you're right on the ball. So as soon as you see an obstacle or a threat, you have to brake immediately to stop. And the image on the right just shows you basically how speed affects the stopping power. So it's not linear. So the more speed you have, the longer it's going to take to stop. You need to have the right speed to be able to stop in the right time. And that comes into something that we've developed later on. I won't talk about in this video, but that's what we do with speed blending. We're going to introduce speed blending, which is innovative. So basically, the faster you go, the more brightness you get. So what is a light? So I'm looking at the anatomy of the light here. Generally, you have a few parts on a vehicle. You have the headlight, and that's broken down again inside there. I'll come to that in a minute. You have the indicator, and then you have these side lights here, which essentially light up the path, or fog lights. They light up the path. They can turn on and off if you're turning left or right, but they cut through the light a lot easier because they get under fog, and generally different colors as well, like selective yellow or amber. But that's like the basic anatomy of a light. But let's go into the headlight and have a look what we've got. So we've got the daylight, DRL, day running light, which is this line around the thing, and this is on during the day, obviously. It can be on during the night as well, or it can be a indicator, be used as an indicator as well. But you'll see that on a lot of modern cars. This part here is the drive light. So essentially what you're seeing there is a reflector, and the light shoots up, hits that reflector, and the light is reflected down, so you don't blind oncoming traffic. And then this part here is the full beam or the high beam or the flood, so to see as much as possible. And you see that with bikes these days, a lot of LED, they're running, there's a matrix from the 1300, and then they have aux systems, so these are OEM systems. They're not very powerful in my experience, Mine are basically useless, but good. They're 10 years old now, so they might have improved, but I think they're using the same part number on that. But generally, they're integrating them into the bikes as well because they're so important, these Oxalites. But they are kind of hamstrung. The OEM manufacturers, they can't do everything. There's a lot of regulations and new regulations all the time about how they have to deliver their lights. So they are kind of restricted, so they can't go crazy. So that's why we have to also add Oxalites, because they are limited, and they can't do, their hands are tied basically. So when you're looking at light, you want to see the purpose that you got to specify the purpose you want. So for us as adventure riders, what we want is everything. We want the Swiss Army knife of lights, essentially. So that's what we've done with this light specifically. But if you are looking for any type of light, you should narrow it down to the following lights on the left here. These can be all one light or combination of lights. So spotlight, that's punching through as far as possible, just a small spectrum in front of you, and you're not worried about what's left and right of you, up above or bottom of you. The combination is obviously everything. It's everything put together, so you can have several lights on at once. The 3+, that's just three 10 kilowatt lights. That's more automotive car. And flood is the high beam, essentially. It's like trying to flood as much light into the space as possible. That's high beam technically. And drive is the one that's cut off. So it's got a cut-off line, so you don't blind oncoming traffic. That's the one that is the default that you normally go to when you're driving at dusk or at night around the city. That's the one you want. And diffusion and scene light. Scene light can be also a DRL, but diffusion and they're more like kind of fog lights. They're in front of you. So if you're traveling slow and you're going over rock beds and stuff like this, and or potholes, that's where you're looking. That's what those lights are for. So the cutoff line, most cars have this, is a cutoff line for drive beam. So essentially, this top line here, this is flooding out the top, and this cutoff line here is like basically on oncoming traffic that you're trying to stop that effect where they get blind and you get the white spots in your eyes. You've all seen it before. The legal aspect of this is most of the lights you get on the market are not allowed to be on the roads in Europe or America or any country. They're just pumped out into the system, or they have fake certificates. So we got ours E9, 148, 149, and 10R, and that basically covers all the bases throughout Europe, America, and so they're legal to ride. TÜV, for the Germans, yes, it's you're allowed to drive with these on the road. In Germany, the police they can't give you a ticket. We'll also upload the certificates onto our website, so if you are on the side of the road and they are asking, you can quickly download them and show them their data as well. But yeah, basically we'll stamp that onto the lens cap at the front, so yeah, have a look at that. So what kind of lens do you want? So there's two main types of lens, or there's three parts essentially. There's a reflector lens, which is this top left-hand corner, which is just like a mirror. And then there's the TRI lens, which is like total internal reflection, and that's a bit more modern. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's better. It just has different purposes, different uses. So if you, they both are good. They're both good, and they both have their specific use cases. So generally, if you're looking at the light, we went for a reflector lens because that's basically exactly fits into our requirements and the requirements of the motorcycle rider. So we did a lot of research on this, heaps of research, and got heaps of feedback, thousands of inputs from thousands of riders. And essentially we're just mimicking what is working on the road at the moment. So we went with that, and I'll tell you the reason why in a minute, but the TRI lens is more for directing light at a specific point. You can essentially redefine that much better than a reflector lens. But the reflector lens also has a superior light quality. So it has a defined bleed, and it's also, or spill, but they have their pros and cons. But to sum it up, like I could go into this for a long time, like we could talk about this for hours, but essentially the reflector, which is the mirror or the polished finish, is the traditional technology, and it has a superior output of light. The quality of light's cleaner, and it has a distinct spill. And the TRI is a superior beam distribution, so you can control exactly what you want to do with it, but it has a soft, washed out look. So it depends what you want. I personally like, the reason why I chose the lens is because, the reflector lens, is because it defines patterns much easier. So if you see an obstacle, it's normally got a shadow behind it, and that's like sunlight. It's got a sharp edge, so you can define, okay, that could be a bump because it's throwing a shadow. And with the TRI lens, you can do that at short distances, close distance as well, but it's not as much. So every decision for this particular light, or the light that you choose, should be based on the scenario that you think you'll be riding in, generally on the road or off-road, on dirt for adventure riders. The differences in what I just talked about in reality. What does that actually look like? So the top left-hand corner, that is a reflector. So that's a reflector there, this one here. So you can see that's a reflector, and the right is the TRI lens, total internal reflector. So it's much softer. You still see the tree, the form of the tree on both of those, right? You see a look, and you see the washed out shadow. The side views, the side of that spot is much softer. On the bottom here, you can see as well, the left bottom here is the reflector, and the right is the TRI lens. So you do see the shadows here on those rocks close up, but as you get out more, they soften out, and you see definitely a distinct cut mark or spill on this part here. This is not to show which is better, because it's not very scientific in its aspect of like the same wattage and stuff. That wasn't the point. The point was just to define the light output and the clarity of the light. Quality of light is very important. So you can have looms, you can have high ratings, and you can say, okay, this light on paper is better, but you've got to look at, like everything, you've got to look at the details, and the details in the quality of light in this scenario is one of the most important. So quality of light is based on purity of light, and essentially if we're designing a light for riding, and if you're riding majority of the time on road or off-road and you're going at speeds, not rock climbing, not going slowly trails and stuff, you're better off to go for a white light. Yeah, it gives you optimal, vibrant, and the best atmosphere to ride in. If you're doing kind of like, if you're doing a lot of off-road, slower riding, then maybe a yellow light is much better for you, because it defines the form and it cuts through fog much better. So yeah, essentially we aim for 5,800. We're up here to 6,000, so we're around quite high, because the majority of the time that's what we will be using. But we have a cap, and you can actually buy caps or put caps on top of these to change the light as well. So from white we can go to basically any color spectrum we want, or almost. But yeah, this is the light in CAD and 3D. I'm showing this because I want to show you like the parts of a light you should be looking at. So the cable, I've just shortened this actually, just to make it easier to work with. But essentially you've got a connector, which is depends, a 3-pin connector in this case, and it's waterproof. You normally have a bracket, you have a housing, and you have a case here, and then you have the lens. So let's open this up quickly. I can explode this out. So it's quite a few pieces here. Essentially, you've got a lens cap, and that, if you zoom in here, you can see that it's clear at the top, and then we've got this design at the bottom to spread the light. So we've got two parts there. And then we've got a DRL frame to blend in the DRL. We've got the reflector cap, and then we've got the spot. This part here, the spot is actually made out of glass. So we've got glass inside our product, which is unusual. Normally they use PC. And then there's good German PC plastics, polycarbonates. That gives a really good quality light output, but glass is still superior. So we had to take glass. It's much heavier though, but we took glass. Then there's a PCB with the LEDs on it. You can see the LEDs there. We've got a spot on the back there, and then this PCB at the back here is just the LIN board. So that's the brains of the operation. So essentially, normally in a light you don't have these. You only have one PCB, one of these. But because we're kind of pushing the boundaries on what you can do with a light, we've got three. So we've got the brains and different types of PCBs inside one light. Normally they'd be split out. So normally this PCB be at the back, the LIN board would be a separate unit, but we're putting it all in one unit on our specific case. But that's the general anatomy. So basically you have most of the time you have a lens, that's the main one. Then you'll have a TRI lens or a reflector. Then you have the PCB. You have the housing, the heat sink. So to remove, like LEDs produce a lot of heat and these distributors sit. Then you have the backing cover, and that's the anatomy of a light in detail. So if you like that kind of stuff, subscribe. We will be producing more videos like this. We've been doing this for years, and we get feedback from you guys. We get that feedback from you guys, and we put it into our products, and that's how we manufacture and produce the best products we can, based off the community. So if you like that kind of stuff, hit that subscribe button while you're down there, like button. I'm Andrew, and I'll catch you later.